touched base on a bunch of different things, and now I want to come to Kaden and Kiera. And you grew up in a small town. I don't population. Do you guys know your population?
3,000.
3,000. Wow, that is
right.
That is very
No,
nice.
I think it's
more.
That is, you know all your neighbors.
Oh.
3,000 people. So that's basically it's
probably like 1,000, just over 1,000.
Oh, so even smaller than 3,000. Wow. Okay.
Are you sure?
So that's basically you know all your neighbors. Like I guess.
I know someone who lives in a town of 450. Which
Oh my God, that's
equivalent to the number of people on my street.
2,981 in 2014.
Oh wow!
Are you serious?
There you go.
I totally thought that there was like way more people. That's creepy.
That's crazy.
Sure.
How many people?
39,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is
Almost
small. Actually, that you grew up in a small town, because that frames my next question very well, right? Why are you laughing so much? Okay, anyways. So my question for you guys is, tell me a little bit about coming of age in a small town, because it's bad enough to grow up in a small city where you can't really get away with a lot of stuff, but I'm guessing in your little town, you know each other, right? You go to high school, everybody knows everyone. So what is that like being a teenager, making those mistakes, coming of age in a little town?
Definitely. So going to school, you know everyone, obviously, and everyone from other high schools around you. Not everyone, but a big majority. So having that closeness, I guess, is a good thing. But smaller towns, I feel like they're better because the community is more one, I guess you can say. So definitely coming of age was pretty cool because you did know a lot of people. Everyone. Yeah, pretty much everyone. So, I mean, she's not of age yet, but almost there. 16. Oh, 16's up there, yeah.
But that's crazy. And it's so, like, it's wild that that's your response. Like, it's wild that your response is, oh my God, it was great because the community is all there. We're a community focused. Usually you get the opposite of that. You get, oh my God, I needed to leave that town. It was too small. Like, I can't do this.
Well,
so
it's
so refreshing to get the other perspective. Or is that
it's
how
good.
You
yeah, no, it's good to put it into perspective, totally.
Is that how you feel? Do you feel the opposite of that? Whereas Kaden feels, well, this is a great town. I could be here. And you feel like, no, I need to go to a bigger place.
Yeah, I want to live in a city.
Okay, so you are definitely that person who wants to escape the small town lifestyle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I was kind of gonna get at, I guess, is most people who do a bigger town. So most people have that mindset of like, you're in a small town, you want more, you want the next biggest thing. Definitely people who are raised in a smaller town want to get out there and be more, move to a bigger city, really.
Would you want to move to a smaller town, or would you want to move to a bigger city, or like what's the verdict?
Bigger city. Like,
I would move to a smaller town.
Well, yeah, that's the most common answer too. Is it's opposite from a small city to go to a big city, and from a big city they want a smaller city because, I mean, I don't want to speak for all these other people, but they are not always wanting that go-ness of it. So they kind of want the opposite, which I've noticed anyway.
I misspoke, I guess. I mean, I would move to a smaller town that was closer to a bigger city, like more options.
I feel like I'm like the odd man out here because I want to live in the core of a big city. Like, I want to live in the downtown, the heart, the busiest of the busiest in the big city. Like, that's where
totally. I want to move to New York or LA, definitely. California, big time.
Yes.
Like,
for me, it depends on the day for me.
It would be something to like experience for like a couple years, just to like get that like concrete jungle kind of feel, like, and see what that's all about. But in terms of like starting a family, I don't know how I would feel about starting a family like in the hustle and bustle of a big city, like right in the middle of it. So my perspective is very similar to Dana's, where I would love to be in close proximity to a huge city, but I would love to be on the outskirts, or just like in a kind of a town closer to the city where I still have access to it, but I'm not like stuck in that like concrete jungle.
Yeah, like not like it is nice to have access.
Can I ask, Kiara, like, what are your reasons for wanting to move to a big city?
To experience it,
To experience it.
and I don't know.
You just don't want to have that feel that everyone knows who you are. Is that what that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now I want to bring a question back to the both of you, branching off of that. Do you think that there's something that you experienced growing up in a small town that you may not have experienced if you had grown up in a big city? Like,
That is a really good question. Okay, I'm sure wow. I think the community, I wouldn't have so much interaction with like close-ish friends or neighbors even. So I think that interaction between the community I wouldn't have that but I mean, I'm sure in some big communities, I wouldn't know this because I wasn't born in a big city. I'm sure maybe you lose that. So I think maybe like the communication between you and your surrounding people, I would not have that closeness, that interconnectedness. I don't think I would have that.
And Kara, what about you? Is there anything you feel like you wouldn't have experienced if you were growing up? Because you are currently growing up in a big city.
Knowing pretty much everyone.
So knowing everyone, you feel like
Pretty much.
yeah, that's definitely hard. If you live in like a city of like 1 million people, you definitely would not know every single person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with you because I feel like in a small town, your neighbors do take the initiative to get to know you, whereas in a big city, you're like, oh, that's my neighbor. I don't know that person. Like, you don't talk to each other. You don't talk to,
we took the bus the other day, the city bus, and actually came home. And my grandma was like, oh, how was your trip? Did you see anyone you knew? Because there was a chance that we could have seen someone we know. So I think that maybe in a bigger city, you wouldn't have that. But I don't want to speak for people in big cities or whatever. But I'm sure they wouldn't maybe have that all the time of that.
Another thing
to know. Yeah.
Sorry, just another thing too. I think that in a big city or a bigger city doesn't feel like a small town. Like, there's definitely like an easier chance to reinvent yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, which is an opportunity that you probably wouldn't get in a smaller town. So that's one thing that I do admire about a big city is that, like, because of that anonymity and the fact that like no one really knows you, like you can be who you want to be. Mm-hmm. And that can be different a year from now, and that's fine without, you know, like almost feeling like some external,
the people being like,
not like verbal pushback, but you can, you know what I mean?
People are like, what are you trying to
yeah. And it's also especially at the age.
Like,
yeah. You're like, yeah, right, I know you.
They're like, I knew you when you were over there in the corner, blah, blah, blah. So why are you trying to act different now? Like,
yeah.
It's like,
especially being like young and like being in the age where you're trying to figure it out, there is definitely almost like just the thought of moving somewhere like a big city is just kind of like appealing, right? Because you're just trying to figure it out.
They definitely leave little rooms for growth. But speaking more to what Kaden was talking about, how your grandma asked you if you saw anyone on the bus you knew, or how there's a chance you might run into somebody, that could definitely have some adverse effects, don't you think? Because there's some days where you don't want to see people that you know. There's some days where you just want to go in a sweatshirt and sweatpants. I'm not saying you can't do that if you see people that you know, but knowing that you're going to run into people gives you the incentive to look good. Because say, for example, you don't want to see anyone from high school 4 years ago while looking not so great, you know?
Or 10 years ago now, right?
Presentation for if you live in a small town, it's like you can never get great. You can't just go to right? So that definitely will be like an adverse effect to always run.
I gotta say that's something I definitely appreciated about COVID is the fact that my mask was always on. So
I love masks.
Harder to recognize.
Yeah.
Like, but it just sucks. Like, I hate how glasses and masks fog up because having like the glasses and the mask on at the same time is so good because nobody can talk to you. Nobody knows it's you. But, you know, you have to keep like unfogging it.
Sorry, you have the wrong person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that before. Quite terrible.
Okay.
Just fucking.
So I have another follow-up question for Kaden and Kara, judging from small town perspective and stuff. So is there okay, so obviously this is more to Kara because Kaden, we know you made clear that you love the small town feel, you like the neighborly feel. So Kara, this question is more posed towards you. Do you get excited when you go, like when it's like, oh, I'm visiting this big city? Is there like an excitement there? Like, oh my God, finally I get to get a break away from this town. Like, so does that excitement follow?
Getting excited to go to a big city?
Mm-hmm. Like
yes.
when you went for Vancouver, are you like, oh my God, finally I get to get away? Like, do you get
yes.
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, what does it entail? Can you tell us a little bit? Like, what do you get excited to do most when you get there? Like, what are you excited most to get away from as well?
To go like shopping.
Oh, actually good topic. So is there like a lot of like, do you have a collection of stores?
No.
No? So how would you describe it? Like, what would you say? Like, how would you describe the shopping market, for instance? Like, would you say, oh my God, there's nothing here. Oh, we have a pretty good amount. Like,
so obviously you try and go to like mom and pop stores or local stores to help the community.
Then I do definitely admire a lot is mom and pop shops. As much as I want to live in a big city, I love the vibe that you get when you go in there. I love the idea. I love it's like so personal, you know. They're
exactly.
So I guess that is one of the aspects that I would admire about like your town, for example, and small towns in general.
The other day we were at a mom and pop store and my uncle was wanting to get some shoes. And it was just myself, Kiara, and my uncle there in the store because it was a smaller store. They had a big selection of shoes, and they're like, "Oh, what would you like to get for shoes?" He wasn't really sure. So then they're like, "Okay, we'll try these ones." And then they were so like attentive and so like willing to help us get the shoes that he wanted to get. And they're like, "Okay, so walk a bit." And first of all, I never knew. I just went to the store and grabbed, oh, this shoe looks good. So I grabbed the shoe. But they were like, okay, we'll walk a bit. Uncle, walk a bit. And okay, well, let's try a different size because the way your shoe is like, so they were really helpful in getting the right shoe for him. And I really see that in small towns, small mom and pop stores, because I wouldn't see that in like a big store. Like
Aiden, what you're referring to, I've definitely experienced that. Like even just smaller towns here, where we live in the prairies, going into stores, like people are definitely very open and just like, hello, like, can I help you with anything? And I'm not to say that doesn't happen in the city, but I think that it seems more like out of formalities in the city if it does happen versus like a smaller town where people genuinely want to like have a conversation with you and like try to help you out and try to help you find or like make your shopping experience the best, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for sharing, Hayden. And thank you guys so much for being here today on Cat Talks. If you guys love that brings us to the end of our discussion today. If you guys love this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And even if you didn't like it, still like and subscribe anyways. And if you can relate or if you can't relate, drop a comment down below. Share your stories with us. We'd like to hear from you. We'd love to read your stories and would like to hear from you. And if you have any suggestions about what we should be discussing next here on Cat Talks, leave a comment down below. We want to hear from you. Tell us what your experiences are, how you relate, how you don't relate, your views, and like and subscribe this video. Once again, this is Cat Talk. I'm Daisy.
I'm Kaden.
I'm Kiara.
I'm Isabella.
And thank on Cat Talks. We'll see you next
Bye.
Bye.
See you next week.